welcome back to another
Are you a creator first and a business owner second? Or are you a business owner first and a creator
Had
second?
all of the ideas and none of the system.
I think the biggest limiting belief is thinking that you have to do everything yourself.
As a career coach, my job is to try and help you understand what reality looks like.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Career Coaches Podcast. Today, we have our amazing recurring guests, Sanket and Sadat, where we are going to be talking about everything to do with AI. This is an episode in partnership with CoCareer.ai. So if you're a career coach and you haven't checked out our platform, go to CoCareer.ai and get to try it for free with 5 of your clients. But today we have 3 main topics we're going to talk to you guys about today. One, we're going to do just an overall overview, like any updates on the AI world. We're not going to be talking about AI layups. So this has nothing to do with how AI is affecting the job market, but more to do how AI is affecting how people run their business and how career coaches run their business. Then we're going to talk about the controversial topic of, should you auto apply for your clients? What about auto apply versus not auto applying? And then we're going to be talking about some of the major updates that we have done to our platform, CoCareer, and why we think this is the move. We think a lot about quality over quantity, and that's kind of part of the debate about auto apply. So, Sanket, Sadat, how are you guys doing today, gentlemen?
Pretty good so far. Pretty good. I mean, in the AI world, you go to sleep, you wake up, and there are like so many new changes that have just been pushed on you. So yeah, every day is like just playing catch up, including today.
Yeah, likewise. It's great to be here, and happy belated birthday, Daniel. We know that was last week. Yeah, hope it was fun.
It was fun. It was chill. Had some family and friends over yesterday. Ate some chocolate cake, which I shouldn't have. David, don't kill me if you're watching this. And then now I'm back to the grind, and I feel older. And now, yeah.
Plum.
Yeah. Sanket, where in the world are you right now?
If you see the number of flags, it implies that I'm definitely somewhere.
Even though you got a nation?
Yeah. So right now I'm in Mexico City. The whole city is lit up because the World Cup's coming. So it's a very interesting. They had their own like local league last Sunday, like a couple of days back, and it was one of the most beautiful kind of like public, like literally coming on the Independence Square and like kind of like hanging out. It was beautiful. So Mexico definitely has like some of the most passionate football fans and soccer fans, and yeah, I mean it's been fun being here.
How long are you staying there for?
Haven't decided.
At least,
hopefully, I'll have an answer by the next podcast.
Yeah. At least until the World Cup starts. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Yeah. That, what's new with you, man?
Nothing as exciting as Sanket's. I am in my old office. It's good weather in Minnesota. Finally, the summer is here. So yeah, the winter only took about 7 months. Yeah, just we're excited for that.
Amazing. All right. So gentlemen, let's say I am a career coach, and for the last month, I've decided to not use technology, right? No computer. I don't know what's going on in the world. I'm not on social media. What do I need to know? What happened in the world of AI in the last 30 days?
It's a very long time frame, Daniel. A lot has happened, in 30 days. I think I can go first. I think the biggest thing that's been happening is generally like, it's been traditionally the Apple keynote, the Google keynote, like they have been treated as like an indicator of what's to come and kind of like overall setting a direction for the entire industry, for the entire market. And so what we have, coming up like, or what's been going on is the Google I/O. And this is by far like, some of the biggest kind of like indicators that they've thrown out in the market, and which is like the world is heading towards more agentic, like more AI agents as a direction. We all knew that was coming, but we thought that it's still a little farther away. But the way that the Google I/O has like kind of like put together the products and services and the updates, it's a very strong indication that like by the end of the year, all of us are going to be like very, very much hands-on with like kind of like having, using like an agent of sorts, one way or the other, whether we build it ourselves or whether there's like an out-of-the-box kind of agent like working for us. That's a different story. But now in the next 6 months, we're just going to see agents kind of like explode. And there are like, they're kind of like adding it to like every touch point that Google has, which includes like, I don't know if you guys saw, but the Google search has got completely revamped. Like, for them to do that, after like 25 years, which was just the search bar, now you can start your entire AI journey right there, right? The AI mode, it can support files upload, like everything basically starts there. You don't even have to go to a different, download a Gemini app or anything of that sort. It starts right there, which is the biggest overhaul for the search bar that they've had over the years. Second, they've done is like they've added for people to be able to get access to agents. They've also created this whole orchestrator of how you can actually create agents, and that's been going on, like, again, some of the other technical tools are out there to support the same, but now with their kind of like the Spark, anti-gravity, like they're actually bringing a lot of these tools which will allow people like you, me, like everybody to kind of like get in there, build like these small agents. It could be just like, hey, check my email, check my drive, just let me know whenever it needs my attention to update, check my Slack, like all of those like smaller things, they are coming through. And the last one is like, even from overall, like just like a consumer point of view, they've added this new thing called as the universal card, which is gonna like allow you to kind of like have this, like a common wallet across your entire browser, which will allow you to like kind of like browse through like, some of the deals, some of, all the, payments that you're making, all your subscriptions, like everything is gonna be like in one place. These are just like 3 or 4 things, but it's still going on. Like they're still pushing a lot of updates. It is going to be like agents all over, in the next 6 months.
If I'm listening and I'm like, hey man, help me, like, how would you simplify what an agent is?
Yeah. So that, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. If you have not heard the word agent enough, you'll probably hear it a lot more in the future, as Sanket said. The way I would describe agent is basically the intelligence that is supported by set of tools that it could use to accomplish a task. In a regular word of, for example, ChatGPT, is that you ask a question, you get an answer. Until you ask another question, you don't really get anything. Whereas with the agent, you can think of it that intelligence is there, but in addition to just accessing its knowledge base and giving you an answer, it can go search web. It could just go and access your bank account if you give permission. It can read your emails. So there are set of tools that you could give it to the agent, the intelligent layer, and you can give it a task, and it doesn't have to be just one-on-one conversation. It can then go ahead and execute that task using the tools that you provided, obviously with the permissions that you specify, and it just goes out and accomplishes the task. That's just one very basic example of agent. And imagine that you have access to many of them in your fingertips for different types of tasks. And when we say agent, there's not going to be just a single one. You might have some specific agents that are good at certain tasks because they are trained for it. That's why we're talking about the world of thousands of agents. A lot of people will have not just one agent, more than 10, 100, even in cases, 1,000 agents doing the work for them. But that, I would say that's kind of the basic definition of agent. Sanket, feel free to correct me if there's anything to fill in there.
Yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, it's just that ChatGPT today is like very synchronous. You ask something, you get a response, you ask again, whatever. Like it's a conversation which is more synchronous in nature. Agents are asynchronous. They can like operate with their own kind of like autonomy. In the background, they can make decisions for you. They can come back to ask you that, hey, can you approve this decision? So it's just like a lot more independently, kind of like able to operate. And that's the clear distinction that we have when we compare agents with like a chat GPT or like a Zapier kind of an automation, where even in that kind of automation, you have to put together the rules. You have to say that if this, then that, kind of a thing. With agents, that's not the case. It is much more free flowing. It's much more open to decide what needs to be done at will.
And a few things that I would add on top of that would be, now that with new technologies, agents can have memories. They can even have identities. So they are basically moving towards more of a human model when you think about it. You are an intelligence layer, access to a set of things that you can do, you can outsource. It's really the same model in a way. I don't want to basically just say the agent is the same as human, but they are evolving towards that model. They're an entity that they have access to certain technologies, certain tools that they can execute, and they don't really need hand-holding. They can basically autonomously execute whatever goal you give them.
So what do you think has happened in the last 30 days in the agent world? In a sense, is it easier to build agents, or is it why is this so important? Like when we talked about like what's the main thing that's happening in AI in the last 30 days, why did you bring up the word agent? Like what changed? Like what makes it different? Like if I'm a career coach that I maybe have heard the word agent, like me myself, I've heard the word agent from you guys many times before, but I don't have an agent. Like I don't currently like what would be the first one you recommend me do, and how do I do it? How long does it take? Like to me, it's just I feel so overwhelmed by it that I just don't take an action.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's usually like continuous progress, and then some of these moments kind of tip it over, and so it's like one of those where over the last few months we've seen the modules continuing to improve a lot more. We've, like Siddharth mentioned, the memory has been improving a lot more. Third, the Aura integrations, like the evolution from like MCP to where we are today, it is evolving. So that way, like your access is not just limited to whatever your file system and your email. Now you can essentially access like hundreds of thousands of tools, right? So those have been evolving, and the way that kind of like Google kind of like pushed it over right now is because of their kind of like they've built this agent creator toolkit, which is called anti-gravity, and which is what they are going to continue to heavily invest in. And so some of these tools will become so much easier for us. Like maybe anti-gravity may not be like fully available for us to use like right off the bat, but in the next 3 months you'll probably see this, like the evolution where you are in an Uber and you're literally like spinning up an agent, while you're in the cab, and saying that, hey, go ahead, find out all the meetings that are happening today, find out everything that you know about them, summarize it for me, go look into my other, Rolodex to see if I have any notes about them, prepare some meeting notes for me, go ahead, purchase some gifts for them, like right after the meeting that we can send out. So everything will like happen like automatically, and it will allow you to kind of like have more control over what those agents can do and cannot do. And it's just because when you have the tools in place, it just makes the whole production of those agents so much more simpler. Now after this call, like maybe you and I will probably like spend some time looking at anti-gravity. We'll probably take a look at like what's the simplest agent that I can create, and that curiosity is now having some tool to actually bring to life, right? And that's what we're going to see evolve like so much more faster over the next 6 months.
I think it would be interesting if maybe next episode we actually build an agent for career coaches. Like what would be like the most like if we think to and we brainstorm, what would be a really good agent for career coaches? Like check an email and then or something like that. And we actually build it on the tool. Already we build it live. And then that way career coaches can just go ahead and do it. Because I think about like everything you said of like having someone like an agent look into my calendar. Like for example, today, an agent could have looked into my calendar. I had a sales call with the career coach in Australia right before this call. Then I have the podcast. Then I have a call with you guys. Then I have a call with Madi, right? So I have all this. And the agent could be like, all right, sales call with this person's LinkedIn account. Okay, let me go do some research on the person you're going to be speaking with, right? And so pull up a whole info report. Oh, the podcast. We've already talked about this 3 topic. What's the latest things with AI? And then the agent can go on to like all the things that are updated. Like, I think that would be really cool. And to me, it's like, I don't even know where to start. Right.
Yeah.
I think it starts with just finding a simple example, something that you do it on a regular basis, something that takes up your time, something that could be automated with a computer. Obviously, not every single thing can be automated by an agent. Some of the examples that you talked about are great. For example, finding interesting topics to talk about in the podcast. You don't even have to initiate this. If you have an agent that's running in the background every week, looking at your calendar, knowing when the podcast is, it could just automatically do that for you without even you prompting. That's the power of agents. It doesn't need a push from you. You can just give it a goal, and that goal could be over the span of months, years, and it will execute it accordingly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's pivot this conversation to, I'm sure that there's an agent they can auto apply for you. And right. And that then leads to the next topic of there's other companies, there's companies out there that could apply for job seekers. And so there's job seekers that are signing up for these companies, or even career coaches that are using about it and are using for it to apply. What do you think, are the benefits of having a tool auto apply for you? And what do you think are some of the cons of having a tool auto apply for you?
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of like take a step back, let's see how we got here to auto apply, right? Like few years back, maybe like, this whole idea of like manually applying, was going. And then there were these agencies that had come up, like where they would be like, hey, why don't you give us your resume? We will apply on your behalf. And then they would spin up like a bunch of like human resources actually like as VAs or whatever, and they would apply on somebody's behalf. But those models did not scale, right? Because at some point, like everybody was hitting a glass ceiling because you're like, you have to apply like, to so many number of jobs. Then there was the evolution of like LinkedIn actually having like easy apply, right? Easy apply was that one click thing where you just click on that and it automatically takes your entire LinkedIn profile, kinds of like submits the application. But the recruiters, like from what the data says, that recruiters used to not like easy apply, because they used to think it as lazy apply. And so they would like focus more on applications that are coming through the company website, through their main ATS. And so most of like, it was like almost 80 to 85% of like the actual interviews would come from the company websites and not LinkedIn. And now of course, with AI being able to kind of autofill. So actually, even before like AI came, like there was the other thing that was in between, which is like, what Simplify kind of like, made very popular, was like having this Chrome extension where you have like an autofiller, where you open the company website and you just do like click, 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 and automatically it'll start filling it. It's similar to how Google Chrome has like an autofill for your password or for your credit card, right? And then turns out that because the autofill was very generic, there was a need to actually stand out with your applications. How can you personalize it more? And so the personalization wasn't possible until AI came into play, right? So now we have landed to a place where now you can personalize your answers. If it asks you that, hey, tell me, whatever, like, your weakest moment in your professional history, or how did you, make a comeback? It is going to like, come up with like either its own story or based on whatever that you fed, as part of the onboarding of whatever tool, it's going to come up with those answers, right? So I think now what we're seeing is this, because of this AI kind of like, being able to not just browse the internet and go to these websites, but also be able to fill those. And now because it has integrations to all these like email providers and OTPs and like everything, now it can actually very well simulate that this is the person filling those applications, right? So that's like, that's how we've kind of evolved into where we are with auto apply. Now, the problem with auto apply, like, or the best parts of auto apply is still the fact that there are still in this job application process, in this job search process, there are still a lot of manual tasks that don't really need a lot of, intellect or curiosity or, like an effort from the job seeker point of view. So there are pieces that can be automated. And that includes, like finding the right jobs for yourself. Once you found the jobs, like, can you ensure that is this the right job for you? Like, how well are you suited for this job? Once you've done that, like, can you actually tweak your resume a bit to kind of like personalize that application? Can you write a cover letter which actually suits, whatever that job is for? So a lot of these pieces, it's only like maybe 10 to 15% of personalization. Everything else is like pure automation. And that's where these auto apply apps or tools or agents or extensions are actually exploding. So now if you look at, if you just Google search, you'll probably see like at least like 50 of these auto apply tools out there. If you go to extension, like, Chrome Web Store, you're going to again see like dozens of these. Go to Reddit, you'll again see like people talking about it. But I think while this is the direction that I don't know if it's going to continue for too long or not, only because the entire hiring process itself may change. Because what's happening now is that the moment a new job opens up, there's like 1,000 applications in the first hour.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Like, there's no way, like, even if like, the ATS systems or the recruiters have AI on their side, it's still like at the end of the day, like both are the losers here, right? Because not the right interaction is coming to the front. So that's what we're seeing now with the numbers, that generally if 2 to 5% was the average, if you decide to like kind of like apply on company websites and things like that, auto apply agents have actually, or the tools have had like a share of like, it goes all the way to like, 0.01 success to like about like, again, 3 to 4%, depending on the level of personalization, depending on the level of kind of like control that you have, the kind of like different application that you can make for different jobs. So that's what we're seeing in terms of the trend. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of like, pros and cons, which we can dive into. But yeah, just wanted to set the context here.
When I think about it from a career coach's point of view, right, I understand the appeal for auto applying. Like, I understand from a job seeker's point of view, who maybe are looking for a job, have been laid off, maybe just graduated college and have the pressure of my parents saying, hey, when are you getting a job? What are you doing to get a job? I understand that the mental reward that I give myself to say, hey, I've applied to 100 companies today. Like I am doing what I should do. Like, and it's maybe a lot of like, guys, don't kill me for this, but I think a lot of people with a victim mentality will gravitate towards auto apply because they're saying, it's not me, it's the market. I am literally applying to hundreds of companies. I am doing everything I can to get the jobs. It's just not my fault that I am not getting viewed by the company, right? And so I understand why these tools can be very appealing. And I hear our clients and career coaches that we work with come to say, it's like, what, like, there was a big conversation inside of like the Opni community of like, have you guys used, like a coach says, have you guys used auto apply for your clients? Have you offered that service? And like multiple coaches be like, I've tried it. It doesn't work. We even saw a post on LinkedIn of a career coach that said that his client got burned by a Fortune 500 company because the auto apply tool applied to like multiple roles in the company and tweaked the resume every single time that I applied. And the recruiter looked at all the different things and said like, and one thing you said you did this, another thing you said you did this, like, what is it? Like, what is the truth? And so I think about it from, I understand the appeal of auto apply. I understand how, in theory, it sounds really good. It sounds like socialism or like in theory,
Yeah.
executional wise, like in the reality of with the job market that we're at, I think it's extremely more harmful for the job seeker than helpful, right? Because it gives you an ability to blame that things are not working and it's the economy and it's everything else. And unfortunately, as much as it feels like the economy is doing terrible, unemployment rate is still less than 5% in America, which means that 95% of the people who want a job have a job. It might not be the job that you want. You might have to go a job lower than before, or you might have to move, or it might not be like life is not perfect. But I do think that you using auto apply, it's just giving you a false sense that you're doing everything you can versus actually controlling the controllables, which visibility becomes more important than ability. Because to what you said, Sanket, is when a position opens up, because of the auto apply tools, hundreds of applications are submitted within the first hours, which used to be a competitive advantage before. It used to be a best practice for career coaches to say, hey, speed to application is more important than the referrals sometimes. And that ultimately has changed that. And to your point, so to me, I say all that to say is because for me, quality is more important than quantity, right? Quality is more important than quantity. And so, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to speak. I'll let you guys kind of like talk about what you guys agree or disagree on what I just said there.
I mean, it's very clear that there's an appeal because as us human beings, we want to accomplish a task with the least amount of effort possible. And this is a very good example of that, right? I think the question that I would probably ask the career coaches would be, where is the bottleneck in your process? Is it the volume of your applications for your job seekers, your clients? I would think that the 95% of the coaches, if not 99%, would come and say the volume of application is not the bottleneck. The bottleneck is preparing the job seeker, getting them to understand the process, network, and apply to the good fit positions, not applying to 200 or 300 jobs. So if that's not the bottleneck, what is auto apply solving for you? I think you touched on a couple really good points, which is one of them is the initial false confidence that it creates. As you said, when you use an auto apply tool and apply to 200 jobs, it probably gives you that false confidence that you have been productive. But in reality, you really have not been productive. You have not gone through the job search process or that whole entire process that is very diligent. You need to understand the positions. You need to understand what's being asked outside. You need to learn the landscape a little bit. You're skipping that, which is extremely valuable for you to learn as a job seeker. And I would say on the other side, once you're done with the 200, 300 job applications, there's probably a worse mental outcome as well, because most of those jobs are going to be lower intent jobs. You are not going to hear back from them. Your interview rate is going to drop less than 1%. And that is probably going to create, I think, a worse mental health issue for you than just the initial false confidence that you get if you were to compare that. It's the quality versus quantity game. And I think based on our conversation with career coaches, it's very clear that it's always quality. Quantity is not the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say that quantity is like probably relevant in like for some of the roles which are like, let's say, you're applying in retail, you're applying for like call centers, you're applying for these like these specific industries where the personalization of your resume, your application may not be as much, but you just need to get a job ASAP. It doesn't matter what the job is, whether it's a $20 an hour or a $40 an hour. Like, for those kinds of like jobs, like it is probably better to not spend too much time personalizing and rather just like like bulk apply, and hopefully like one of those will probably get a hit and like you can get it. But for the kind of roles that like some of our career coaches have been like kind of like specializing in applying, helping the clients like kind of crack, those are probably a lot of like those roles which need that touch, that need that personalization, that it needs that flair or that character of that job seeker to actually come in the front to be able to kind of like get a foot in the door.
Yeah.
And personalization and auto apply, they're not mutually exclusive, right? I mean, you still need to take advantage of AI. You need to personalize your application. Just don't hand it over to an agent to do everything for you. Review, look at it to see if it makes sense. Try to answer certain questions with your own touch, because I think the human touch is going to be a very important value for us. It's going to be a differentiating factor. And another thing that I want to touch on, Daniel, you mentioned that is, this is really a cat and mouse game. As the technology is evolving, as candidates can use auto apply tools to apply thousands of jobs, the companies are evolving as well. For example, one of the things that I've seen is that there are now hidden prompt traps in the applications that basically just to trap AI agents. You're not going to see it in the UI, but somewhere in the web page, it could say, write me a poem about a frog, for example. An AI agent would go ahead and fill that in just to catch whether people are using the AI agent versus human applications, right? So this is going to be a cat and mouse game. It's going to evolve, and I don't think that it is going to lead with the best outcome for job seekers because of the reasons that we talked about.
Yeah, I find this really interesting in the sense of like, I actually still like, I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to like, my prediction is that we're going to get to a point where companies are going to reach out to you, or the companies are going to have AI agents or AI reach out to the candidates they think they're a good fit. And it's going to be like, hey, we believe you're going to have a 99% chance of being very successful in this role. And that the way that we currently do, which is there's an open role, and then we apply. I think that the AI will just match. It'll be like, okay, these are kind of like how, I don't know if you guys ever thought about it, like the model of like when people go to med school and what med schools use to match residencies, where it's just like a matching process of like you don't apply for all the residencies. You literally say, these are my favorites. This is where I want to do residency. And there's a whole algorithm that does the matching. I think that you see that at a bigger scale. I don't know, maybe I'm going crazy, but I feel like that's going to be more that way.
Mm.
And I think that the way that you publicly position yourself online so that the algorithm can see if you're going to be good enough to do that role or not actually becomes even matter. Like your personal brand matters more. But I ultimately think that this is back when I think about this before AI existed, how when I was talking to college students, and I worked with a lot of international students, and the international students, I generalizing here, applied more than any other type of college grad. Like an international student from India, it's like, and you know this, they literally applied to hundreds of jobs before there was a way to do it faster. There was a manual way of doing it. They would do it and they would have a spreadsheet and they would have it all built out. And so it wasn't rare for me to speak to someone that says, yes, I graduated in December, but I've already applied to 300 places. And here's my Excel sheet on it. And back in the day, I used to tell them, and it was like quality over quantity. I used to ask, how many interviews did you have? And the ratio that I looked at is that if you didn't get at least 10%, and I don't know what this number looks like now, and I know that we're working with on the CoCareer tool to eventually do this, but if a job seeker did not get 10% of their applications into interviews, then I felt like that there was a quality problem before there was a quantity problem. So a lot of times I would be like, slow down, because either A, you're applying to the wrong roles. So like if you're an international student and you're applying to Lockheed Martin and Boeing and SpaceX, it doesn't matter how qualified you are, you're just not going to get that role, right? You're just going to, right? So you're applying to the wrong roles, the wrong companies, right? There's a lot of things, or that's one filter, which is the clarity part. Where are you applying to the right places? The second filter is your resume even optimized for the application that you're doing? That was also an issue. And then third, they might be applying, but it was quantity, not quality. So quality application. And then lastly, they weren't networking. So we used to call this called a 10-5-1 rule. It's like 10 applications a week, 5 networking messages per applications, which means you're starting 50 new networking messages a week. And that usually led, like if you think about this from a funnel perspective, to 1 interview. So all that work, 10 applications, 5 networkings per company. Out of those 5 people that replied, not just, right, you would have 5 coffee chats. Out of those coffee chats, you would get 2 referrals, and you would ultimately get to 1. Like that was at the funnel worked. And it was like literally it worked every single time. If you followed it, you would get 1 interview. If you do that for 10 weeks, you ultimately get 10 interviews, and that leads to 1 job.
Yeah.
And so I say that because like, have you guys, I think that if you think about it that way from a quality perspective, I actually think you're going to get more success. And I think that if you are a career coach and you're having auto apply for your clients, I think you're doing them a disservice. Like I generally think you're just hurting your clients more than helping them at this point.
No, I mean, fully agreed on this. I think these are some of the like the actual facts also, like because like we still know that even when we talk about these application to interview like at 2% as an industry standard, like 2 to 5%, we still know that like networking is still like 40% plus, so we know that there is something there about that human touch which is still kind of having such a big influence in that outcome, from that application to that interview, right? So I think like and again, like not to bring down all the auto apply tools out there. I think there are definitely like good parts to the auto apply, which is like helping you with that speed, certain automation that doesn't need you all the time, like whether it is your email, phone number, bunch of like when did you graduate, like so there are these application forms that do ask for a lot of like repetitive information, and that it's best to kind of like see how we can automate that. But at the same time, like there is that other part, which is there is so much room to kind of like leverage like AI to also personalize a lot of these things. Even for example, the outreach messages that you're talking about, there is no need, like once you've kind of like identified or cracked, with sitting with your coach, you've identified that this is what a great template looks like. And once you've got a hang of like, creating like, maybe 5 or 10 of these messages, then after that, like you should be able to leverage, like AI is pretty good at that today. It's already so good that you should be able to, like once you've actually taught it the right way with the help of the coach, like taking their prompts, taking their understanding, it should be able to create like something pretty awesome for those connection requests, right? And I think that's something like even from our kind of like from CoCareer like direction point of view, that's something that we are also trying to see that, okay, let's take all the good parts of manual, let's take all the good parts of AI automation, let's take all the good parts of AI personalization, and kind of like bring it all together, and then try to see how can we actually like not just like focus on quality but at the same time quantity, right? Because now I think we're in a position to kind of bring the best of both worlds together. And I'll let Siddharth like share some thoughts, because last week like he's probably texted me like thrice talking about like how much how we can spin this whole agentic piece around to kind of like take the best of all these worlds and still be able to not lose quality. In fact, if anything, we're actually going to probably like 3x 4x our quality of applications, and so I'll pause here. I'll let Siddharth share more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you said it really well. Just taking the best part from every angle, right? I mean, of course, you don't want to write and fill out the same application form 20 times. You want that process to be automated as much as possible. You don't want to go ahead and optimize your resume from scratch manually. No, you already know what you can do, what your background is. AI is really good at that. You don't have to write an email from scratch. You can have your career coach provide a template, and following that template and your background, that process can be automated as well. That's exactly what we are going through. Just everything personalized, automated with human oversight. I think that's the difference between auto apply tool. When you take the human out of the whole journey, one, the job seeker doesn't fully understand what job search process looks like, which I think is extremely important. There are hard parts of it. When you embark on the journey initially, you are going to struggle. I think that's pretty much every single job seeker. If you haven't done that, especially in the last 5-10 years, right? You have to be part of that journey. What we're trying to do here is just assist you so that that's as smooth as possible while you're still in the loop, while you still know what's a good fit for you, what's not a good fit for you, what the process looks like. And everything that we're building on the CoCareer basically is around that ethos. Just let's automate it, let's personalize that, let's make it as smooth as possible, giving you the best tools out there. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that, and I know we've been working on, so for all of you that might be watching this and maybe hasn't clicked, like the three of us partnered together to build a tool called CoCareer. And Sanket and Sadat are like just really the masterminds behind the tool, technically speaking, for sure. And when we talk about building the tools and we talk a lot about like what features to prioritize and what not to prioritize, there's a lot of things up there. Like there's a lot of things that AI could do. And it always comes down to, at least the way I think through this is like, how do we help career coaches help their clients land better jobs faster? Right. And it's not just land a job faster, it's land better jobs faster. Right. Cause like, again, I always tell you, like, if you have a client who wants to get a job in 2 weeks, have them go directly to Walmart or Publix or McDonald's and they can get a job really, really fast. But if they're already a white collar professional and they're already 5 years into their career, landing a job in the United States right now takes a long time, right? I think according to the US labor statistic, it's 6 months. So the idea is, how do we use, right? Like the best about technology, the best about AI, the best about agents to facilitate that without losing the human touch and without losing the quality and without losing the H and HR, which is human resources, human resources. And so we think a lot about that. We've had a lot of our career coaches. So we have a lot of big career coaches that use our tool. And we've had conversations with them where they're like, hey, we're getting demand from our clients that are seeing that they're like, career coaches, like a really premium career coach are not like thousands of dollars. Their clients are coming to them and saying like, hey, like I'm paying all this money. Why isn't this tool applying for me? Right. And so they have to be able to know how to respond to their clients about that. It's like, yes, could we use an auto apply and put it on CoCareer tomorrow? And it looks like you're doing more for your clients. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But is that really going to help your clients get better jobs faster? And the answer is no. And so this is the conversations that are not seen.
Yeah.
They're not seen in public. Like we're not discussing this. But when we talk a lot about this, like what are the features that we're prioritizing that ultimately leads to better jobs faster? And I think that's kind of like why we haven't put auto apply in the CoCareer tool.
100%, Daniel. I mean, in fact, we should have like talked about this right in the beginning, because this is like exactly what's happening nowadays, right? We've actually like we got this email from one of the founders of one of the kind of like auto apply kind of companies, and we told them the same thing, that we actually, I think Sadat put it on the roadmap like probably like 1.5 years back, like that we should do it, and it's something that like he's been kind of like kind of itching to do it, like because like if he sits down one weekend, he's gonna make one of those agents, right? But like it has been very intentional on our side to not kind of like just build it because we can build it. It's very important for us to understand that is the quality of auto apply actually kind of like helping us with the overall outcome or not. And so we don't want to rush into building just an AI agent, just like having the same set of features that all the other tools have out there. We're going to be very cognizant about like what is exactly like moving the needle here. And now I think where we're getting to a place where now some of the pieces are coming together for us to build an agent or build or bring some of these auto apply capabilities that will actually overall help us with the outcome. So
yeah, well, I appreciate you think very highly of me.
yes.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I'll probably repeat what you guys said. And based on my conversations with career coaches who are using our tool, yes, there's obviously quite a bit of interest on the auto apply tools. But when I truly ask them, do you really think that this works? Oftentimes the answer is probably not. Again, it goes back to the quality versus quantity. I have yet to hear from somebody that auto apply is really make it or break it. It is extremely effective. And that's actually a question for the audience as well. If you really think that it is effective, if you have tried to use it, please let us know. But that's our experience. As Sanket said, we will only build something if we truly think that it actually does improve the outcome for the coaches, for the job seekers. We are working on some pieces for that to make the application process as smooth as possible, as we talked about it. Auto apply is still on our roadmap, but we will only do that if we truly think that it's going to basically improve the outcome. And we believe the jury is still out when it comes to that.
So what do you, so let's talk about what are some of the features or products or tools that you guys have specifically added to CoCareer in the last 30 days that does improve the outcome. So we're like, okay, auto apply, not so good. The jury's still out. It seems to be more negative than positive for job seekers. What is something that's helping job seekers? What is a feature that with AI is helping the career coach?
Yeah, I'd mention that I think this is a common theme that we hear from coaches when we talk to them is what's the differentiating factor in today's job market? It's networking. That's what we hear from coaches. And that's the area that we very much focused on within the last month. And we shipped a couple of really important tools. We have already enabled it for some of coaches. We're going to be releasing to everybody in a few days. And first one is networking agent. We do know that finding the right people to network with is a big problem, especially if you are applying to a job from a company that has 10,000 people, right? 20,000 people, 50,000 people. How do you get to the right people or people who will get you to the right people? Getting to the right people always is also a little bit difficult. So what we did is build a networking agent within CoCareer that allows you to go to a job that we found for you. We did the compatibility analysis. We removed it from the notes. With just one click, you can click on the job and say, bring me the people to network with, right candidates for this specific job. What our agent would do is just go out, look for all the people within the company, try to analyze their profiles and bring you the right people, 5 to 10 people to specifically network for that position and give you a good reason why we think this person is the right person to network with. And after that, we added more tools. You click on that person with just one click, we find the email of that specific candidate. And after that, we write you an email. And with one click, you can send that email from the tool. We do know that the LinkedIn right now is getting saturated. And we heard from a lot of coaches that email is sometimes their preferred way of reaching out. So we added functionality for that. And one final thing that I would add on top of it is that this is not just job specific. We also added an ability to track companies. If you're starting your job process with companies instead of specific jobs, which a lot of coaches do recommend. Again, you can just click on one button and we will find you the right people to network with for that specific company without even looking at any jobs, if you want to initiate your process that way. So, as I said, networking was the big theme for May and April for us. These are some of the features that we shipped, which we already got great reception from the coaches. And we believe that is going to have a very positive impact to the outcome.
Yeah, I think to me that like the company tool. So like, for example, you can see, okay, you tier Amazon Web Services, and then these are people we've already kind of pulled this. These are people to network with. And then,
yeah,
I mean, this to me becomes more impactful than auto apply, like who to network with, and even start even it can come up with what the message might sound like to what you're going to send, but you still have to make sure you double check it still and send it out before they see it.
Exactly. And also giving you, coach, an ability to write the prompts and the templates for these messages. If you know that a specific type of message works, which I'm sure you have seen it across hundreds of clients that you have managed, you put your template in and the message is written in a personalized way using the template that you provided or using the instructions that you provided. So there is always that touch, the coach's touch that we try to incorporate into the product at every single workflow that we implement.
Yeah, I feel like we should trademark instead of like human in the loop. I think we should trademark coach in the loop because that's exactly what we're doing. Like we're ensuring that all the touch points, the behavior, the content, like everything is like gated by the coach's style, their frameworks, their specific ICT, which kind of also creates a distinction between all the other kind of like auto apply tools, the job seeker focused tools that will be out there in the market will probably like continue to grow. But the way that we will continue to envision on our side of CoCareer is going to be that how would a coach would like that agent to behave, and you'll see like a lot more like coach in the loop kind of like these instances all over the product.
Yeah. Yeah. For anybody watching this, and this is the first time maybe you've heard of or even seen a little bit of what CoCareer looks like, we'll put it on the comments or in the chat. We want you to try the tool for free, right? Like ultimately, I think that if you were to like, we could try to tell you what the tool does and why we're different and anything like that, but nothing will replace you actually going through it and like having some of your clients try it, right? Have 3 to 5 of your clients try it for 30 days and see the difference between clients that are using the tool and the clients that are not, or if you're using a different tool, because I think you will see the level of execution from the clients using the tool or not dramatically increase and the traction that they get in those 30 days. Because if the tool is finding the roles for you, like maybe even auto apply could do that, but then helping you who to network with and helping you kind of do that whole tracking, it ultimately will lead to better jobs faster, right? So any last parting words or thoughts before we wrap it up, gentlemen?
No, so I mean, super excited for the next episode as well, because I'm sure like we'll be able to show you like some glimpse of what an agent would do, even from like CoCareer point of view, to see some of these workflows, how they differ from all the other ChatGPT workflows that we have today. So yeah, super excited about the direction where agents are headed.
Awesome. So that anything from you, sir?
No, absolutely. I mean, we are building this product with direct feedback from coaches and with what's happening in the world of technology. As Sanket said, the agents, they are hot right now. They're going to come into our product and they're going to make the product a lot better. And yeah, excited to chat with you again soon. I know.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this episode of the Career Coaches Podcast. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, don't forget that. And if you're a career coach and you want to try out the tool for free, you can go to CoCareer.ai and there's a link there to book a demo, or we'll also put a link on the show notes or even on the comments here. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Cheers, guys.